Are we here?
We are. Count it down.
Okay, I didn't see the countdown. All right, good morning, boys and girls.
Monday, time for a few more folk tales this week.
We're just going to practice these next couple of days, today and tomorrow, just reading some more folk tales, using the text to answer questions, understanding the lesson that can be learned and the important elements of it. Wednesday, we'll take a little quiz on folk tales to see how we're doing, and then we've got some Christmas reading we'll do after that. So today, let's just review about folk tales. Remember, folk tales are traditional stories, those stories passed down generation after generation. Mamas and daddies told their kids, those kids grew up and told their kids, and so forth.
Folk tales are told in cultures all around the world. You might have the same basic story told differently. Maybe after Christmas, Miss Milam, during some classroom book of the day, we can read some of those Cinderella tales from different cultures, because it's the same story, but they just twisted it around or changed it up to make it match their culture, the things that were important to theirs.
Many folk tales have a message. That message tells the lesson, the moral of the story. And again, a lot of these stories were told to teach lessons to boys and girls. They use that as a way to help their kids learn things.
And when you're reading folk tales, pay attention to things like the characters, the setting, the beginning, the middle, the end, the problem, the solution, and the lessons. And did the lesson change the characters? Most of the time, no.
Most of the time, no. Like Anansi, we read last week. Poor little Anansi. He just never could learn.
But, if he did learn, there would have only been one Anansi story instead of the whole Anansi library of books. So
that's right. Today, we're going to model reading short little story. It is a little odd, but
this was weird. I was just reading this.
It's a little odd, but we're just going to practice or model reading a story, and then we have some tasks to do with it. And then you will do the same thing with a different story and some different questions. But let's read this. It's called Robert Roberts and the Fairies. And the origin, that's kind of where the story began, and that's in Wales, which would be over near England and Scotland and that United Kingdom area. Europe across the ocean from us. So
Robert Roberts was a carpenter. He worked hard, but Robert couldn't keep his tongue still.
Means he liked it. Yeah.
He was
yep. He was talk. He couldn't be quiet. And not just probably talking, keeping his tongue still, not just like rattling on about nonsense. He was probably spreading gossip when I think keeping that tongue still. He was chatting about things maybe he probably shouldn't have.
A little fairy came up to him. She said, Robert Roberts, go up to the holly tree that leans over the road on the red hill. Dig below it. You shall be rewarded.
So if he goes up to the holly tree, digs below it, he shall be rewarded. I'm guessing that he was pretty excited.
I'm guessing that a fairy that's kind of that magical character, I'm thinking she's trying to trick him.
You think? Okay. Then next morning, Robert Roberts set out for the spot. He dug a big hole. He found a box of gold. Afterward, he went back twice, and he found gold each time.
Can you predict, Miss Milam, what do we know about Robert Roberts already?
He loves to talk. When the author told us he couldn't keep his tongue still, it's kind of like sometimes the author tells us in the Anansi stories, Anansi was always greedy, Anansi, the fisherman had heard of the Anansi's tricks.
It's kind of foreshadowing. It's a clue about what's going to happen. So if he couldn't keep his tongue still, what's he going to do?
Getting all this gold. He's going to go talk about it.
And then,
let's see.
As he grew rich, he began to boast to others, bragging. One day he talked of the fairies. He said that he knew them well and they gave him money. Robert Roberts thought no more of the matter.
He went to the spot a week afterward. He began to dig as usual. Big stones came rolling down the bank. The stones just missed him. He ran for his life, and Robert never went to the place again. So, Miss Taylor, he bragged too much. The fairy saw him bragging too much. She quit rewarding him. I mean, no more gold, no more riches coming for him.
And I thought maybe that other people were going to dig up his gold because he was bragging about it and telling everybody about it. But then I think the fairy got him. I don't think, but that was kind of different than what I
It is.
predicted.
And it was an odd, but there's still a lesson. So the lesson should be don't brag. Don't brag. Just keep things to yourself and don't talk about when good things, something great happens to you. Just don't brag. Why did the fairy approach Robert? So we're going to have to go back to the text and we're going to underline or highlight in those colors from the text. Why did the fairy approach Robert? So let's see. Get to tell him about the tree.
Maybe because he was a hard worker.
Maybe she was going to reward him. It's not real clear. We can try that. And you know what, boys and girls, if you're not exactly sure,
Make your best.
just make your best guess and move on. So he was a hard worker.
Or my other idea is that she knew that he was a bragger and she approached him to teach him a lesson. That was her purpose from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which one. We'll just put them both in there.
It's okay.
Lots of these, just like last week when we were talking to you on the Zooms, you can justify lots of different things when you explain it.
What happened to Robert when he dug in the spot that the fairy told him to? Next morning, he went out, he dug, he found a box of gold. So we'll highlight that. Orange, I believe. And let's see, he found
gold and became rich.
Hey, how could you describe Robert? Use text evidence to support your answer. Is he giving, helpful, show off, or adventurous?
I think he's a show off.
Mm-hmm.
Show off means you're a bragger.
And in there, we knew he began to boast to others.
He talked to the fairies. He said he knew them well.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that.
Yeah. Okay. What mistake did he make? And it said to explain it. So the mistake he made really is that he talked. He boasted and he talked.
Mm-hmm. He bragged about what he got.
So typing. Knowing the fairies and getting gold.
And Miss Milam, just to clarify for the boys and girls, maybe on number 3, it says use text evidence to support your answer.
Oh, yes, Miss Taylor. I probably need to go in here.
I think we needed to say C
See.
as the answer, and then we need to kind of prove it. Robert was a bragger.
He boasted. The text said he boasted
about getting rich and knowing the fairies.
Catch there, Miss Taylor.
Well, Miss Milam,
I just
honestly,
missed it there.
I was just looking. In boys and girls, you kind of use it as a clue, like at the size of the boxes. If it's just a little bitty box, that's an A, B, C, or D. But if it's got a place for you to type, it probably aims for us to type something there.
And that mistake was said to highlight green. It's kind of all really in here. I'm just going to highlight this sentence green because it's really, that whole paragraph.
And this one is a really short. Yours is a little bit longer. I think it'll honestly be easier because it's longer.
Yeah. What happened to him the last time he went to dig a hole? In blue.
Oh, the stones came rolling down.
He began to dig, big stones came rolling down the bank. So we'll highlight that blue. Last time he went to dig, goodness.
Why didn't he return to the spot where he dug the hole? Those big stones came rolling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the stones he ran for his life. He never went to the place again. It's really the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the same. I mean, even though we're changing it here, it's really okay. Boys and girls, if you can't highlight every little thing
And again, this story was super
so
short, and we did it so our video wouldn't be so long. But you'll be It'll be easier for you because the story will have more details
It
that you
came
read.
rolling down the hill, almost killing him, and there was no gold. I mean, there was no gold for him to find. So why didn't he find gold the last time? We have to infer on this one. It didn't really
it
tell
says
us.
they're highlighted in pink, but I'm not sure what I would highlight.
Yeah. I don't think the answer is right there in the text. You're gonna have to use some clues and maybe make some predictions.
I think it was because the fairies heard him bragging and
put a stop to it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, no more. If you're gonna brag, no more
gold for you.
That's right. What's the lesson in the story? Well, let's look. Keep all your riches to yourself. Did he try to keep everything and not? And we don't know what he did with his gold. No. So there's nothing.
Besides brag about it.
Money doesn't always bring happiness. Again, it doesn't tell us anything about what he did with the gold. So fairies can be found in most unusual places. That's not a lesson any of us need. I mean, that's not relevant. Do not brag to others about your good fortune. So that would be it. So we can say D. And Robert
bragged about knowing the fairies and becoming rich. The fairies put stones on the hill and pushed them at poor Robert. They were kind of mean fairies. They could have just taken away his treasure.
And there was no more gold for him. Kind of short and sweet to the point, but there wasn't a lot to it. So.
No. Your story today is,
and it's a story. I had those old cardback books, cardboard. They were some kind of, what were they called? There was a series.
I don't know, but
do you know what?
Yes, I had them too.
And there was one that was called The Princess and the Pea. It might have even been in the Disney version of it. I don't know, but The Princess and the Pea. I didn't realize it came from Denmark. Again,
another European country.
But read the story about the Princess and the Pea. It's on this slide, or it's on two different slides in your on your assignment today. So read both slides carefully. Make sure you're thinking about what the lesson could be. Perhaps what he had a problem at the beginning. What was his problem? How was he going to solve the problem? So forth. Then you have 2 slides of questions to answer. It shouldn't take you that long. Hopefully work through it pretty quick. All right.
Have a good day, guys.
See ya.